Okay, I'm gonna try to get this, not fuck this up. Okay, Tucker. What's up, Tucker? Motherfucker. Okay, so watch your discussion about Ukraine and Biden and how little sense at all. Man, would somebody please just, why doesn't anybody tell us how this all makes sense? There's no way they could be. So many people have to be involved in causing all this bullshit and covering up and lying and like just twisting everything around. It's like, how the hell they get away with it? Like, why doesn't somebody just stand up and say, like, why doesn't anybody just say, like, what's really going on? I'm so baffled and confused and shit, I was like, well, like, okay, I've always been standing up and talking about it. Just, nobody listens. And to qualify myself, I'm fucking grew up here in fucking Fairfax County and home of the CIA, right down the street from the CIA where my father worked. And well, I'm going to try to keep this short, but that ain't going to happen. But anyway, in trying, I will say that he was sloppy, and I was a curious kid. And, I picked up on a lot of stuff, sneaking around his office, stealing his liquor and his money and stuff. I thought it was just like, well, everybody's, all the other kids are finding the same kind of information in their dad's office when they're stealing their liquor and money. So, but he's like, he could start to tell, when we talked about current events, national and international events, he started to realize this motherfucker has been going through my shit. So anyway, that started a war between me and him and a lot of fucking assholes around here. And, well, it turns out I'm smarter than them motherfuckers, So, I just kept learning more and more the more they fucked with me, And, I read multiple newspapers. I mean, I stayed ahead of these motherfuckers, and I kind of had to. But anyway, so I know a lot of shit. And I'm always talking about it. Ain't nobody ever fucking listening, And like, so I thought I'd fucking point out a few things about Ukraine, like in Russia. Like first you got to go back to the Summer Olympics of 2008. Georgia and Russia invades Georgia. Their expansion is out. Putin's trying to take over Georgia. It's like everybody and Putin and Bush are at the Summer Olympics in China, sitting next to each other. There's this fucking priceless scene, and fucking Putin sitting there staring down Bush while Georgia's getting invaded. And Bush is just sitting there pretending it ain't going on. Well, he's sweating it, right? It's just like, well, the news media goes on, the fake news, blame Putin. Well, in the end, it turns out that the fucking, the president of Georgia gave a bunch of money to, I think, Bush's campaign. And got himself an audience at the White House eventually, shake hands, get your picture taken. There was nothing going on between the two of them other than, the money helped grease the wheels to get him in there to get a meeting and if I remember right, I probably maybe do or don't, but the meeting never happened. But the president, he went back home all puffed up like, I got the support again of the United States. Now all these regions, just like Ukraine and Georgia, they've all got historical Russian parts of their border. You know, when the borders were drawn up, they, they left some Russians inside all those little countries around there and shit. And the Russians in those territories, just like in Ukraine, Donbass, and all that crap, there's always a lot of friction between them and the locals. And so that's going on in Georgia too. Well, then this guy says, hey, I got the support of Bush. So, you guys go in there and start really fucking with them, with them Russians that are living in Georgia, because Bush said I could. And then it got to a point, and Putin said, hey, so he goes in there to chase the motherfuckers out. Well, then Putin turns out to be the bad guy when it's like, well, it wasn't really Bush or Putin, it's this fucking asshole and president of Georgia. But when the news media, just like when they take off with the bullshit, it stays that way. They don't go back and say, you know what, it wasn't. Putin was just trying to protect his fucking people, and Bush really didn't. Bush neglected to see the signs, or maybe, he did. He let whatever. So there you got the Olympics, right? Then fast forward to 2014, Russia is hosting the Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, on the Black Sea, a few hundred miles south of Crimea and Ukraine and shit, right? And he been working for you. I followed it, he been working. I like Putin. I always liked Putin since he was with Yeltsin and shit. I understood why Yeltsin left him in charge. It was like, because he's open-minded enough to go ahead, to liberalize Russia, but also guarded enough to, to pull back if the West starts abusing him. He'll protect Russia. But he'll proceed with growth and, joining the rest of the world and capitalism and all that, as long as as long as they don't get fucked with, but he will stand up for Russia if he gets fucked with. So I always liked Putin. So Putin been working to get these Olympics, but he also set up this program. He was going to become the world's organic food center, because they was all, Russia already did it. It's like, rather than going to fertilizer to compete when everybody else is going organic, he said, well, why don't we just expand the way we've grown food forever? We're just going to become the organic breadbasket of the world. At the same time, he's been working on this technology where nuclear reactors, it's all at one cycle, and with no radioactive waste. Like, it's going to be like, you can create good, clean power for the air, but also you don't have to store all this toxic shit. So he comes up with these. He been working for a while on this technology, and he wants to showcase all that at the Winter Olympics. That was going to be his big show, his entrance into the Western capitalist world for Russia. He's very proud of all this, and so there he is down there having his Olympics. Leading up to the Olympics. He don't want no bullshit, right? And so at the time, George Soros is moving into fucking to the states around the Black Sea. He's got this game where he goes in. He goes in like Armenia or somewhere like that, and he buys up a fuckload of their currency, right? And so the currency goes up. The value of the currency on the world market goes shooting up, which boosts their credit rating, right? But they got no fucking economy. They only got George Soros buying their currency. So their credit rating they're all like, Armenians, they're like, look, my dollar is now worth $10 and I can buy all this crap. And they start importing and running up a big debt and everything like that. And then George Soros, see, that's what you fucking people always leave out. You always like he's a leftist. It's like, no, he's a fucking currency trader. And social issues have a lot to do with your fucking currency. So if you start some shit in a country, I mean, you can go in and try to raise the value of the currency by boosting their economy or leadership or confidence in the future of the country or some industry or something like that. But they see that's hard. That takes risk and it's a lot of work and thinking and shit. Like Trump, it's like you got to be president of a country. But to rip down a currency, all the fuck you need is to start a bunch of shit somewhere. And then get it, and then the world goes, oh no, look at all the shit that's starting somewhere, and they all start, and then you short their currency, and you make a fuckload of money, and they're stuck. Well, see, like in Armenia, though, see, all you got to do is then he sells off their currency, and all of a sudden it's back to where it's worthless, but they got all this debt now. International debt. And then the bankers move in and say, okay, now we got to figure out this debt. You guys got a little bit too ambitious there with when your currency was up. Now it's okay, well, we'll renegotiate your debt and you'll have to give us this. They move in on cheap labor, natural resources. They come up with a way for them to service their debt. And which involves policy and natural resources. It's a fucking screw, right? And so this is what's going on in Ukraine leading up to Putin's fucking Olympics and shit. And they're getting ready Ukraine's getting ready to sign a deal with European bankers and union or international, whoever the fuck. And, which is going to basically put Ukraine under their control, under the West's control, make them a puppet. And Putin, he won't have time to get in the middle of all that because he's trying to fucking he's trying to do his thing over there. It's something good for Russia. He don't want to be involved in a bunch of other bullshit. So he goes to Ukraine. He says, look, here's $15 billion to fix your fucking debt. And then the European Union, they go, oh, no, the banker, the Western bankers, no, you can't do that. They start fighting, and in the end, the president of Ukraine says, I'm going to go with fucking Putin. He's like a $15 billion loan with barely any terms to it, and it was just to tide everything over till Putin had time to come back and make it his front and center if he had to. And so everybody started freaking out. They started yelling and saying all these horrible things about Putin. He's, and I'm following this shit. And then this fucktard Obama gets involved and starts spouting off the same, and it's all fucking bullshit, Fucking Obama spouting off the same old shit. Well, see, that's when you had your the revolution of Ukraine, and they ran the president out, and he fled to Russia, and then you had like these neo-Nazi motherfuckers that took over the fucking government. And this is all going on while Putin down there trying to have his goddamn fucking Olympics and shit, just a few 100 miles south of there. And then so then the motherfuckers so now Putin's he's like, wait, Crimea is like where it is Russia's major port of military port, import, export. It's like Crimea is traditionally, and there's treaties on it where, that guarantees a certain amount of control of Crimea for Russia, because otherwise, Russia has no choice but to take Crimea, because Russia's dead without its ports in Crimea. And so these cocksuckers up here having a civil war in Ukraine, doing all this nutty shit, and starting to moving in and harassing Russians that are living in Ukraine, Donbass and those regions, and moving towards Crimea. Well, they were cutting off the roads to Crimea. And so he's like, God damn, I ain't got time for your shit. He goes in and he takes Crimea. Well, then everybody, but just like they did when he went into Georgia, and these fucktard Republicans, conservatives, liberals, everybody, see, they always go along with everything against Putin. When, just, anyway. So, Then you get to 2022. So that whole thing, it doesn't settle down. It pretty much stays the same. There's these disputes in Donbass and the other areas, and along everything to do with Russians in Ukraine and around Crimea, and there's these disputes have traditionally been going on there even before 2014, because then people are all assholes over it. It's a hard part of the world, and they fuck with each other. They Ukrainians, who whatever nationality or religion or whatever, anything to be against somebody, these people group up and grew. So 2022 hits. And this dispute has been going on the whole fucking time, but since the West hasn't been talking about it, then and then Biden starts talking like Putin's going to invade Ukraine, as if there's nothing already going on there, and it's been going on all these years, and he's going to take Kiev and all this bullshit, and then, it's like, I don't know how y'all don't remember the way it happened. It was like nothing's going on, and then one day they're talking about, Biden is talking about Putin's going to invade Ukraine. And everybody, it's just him, not the intelligence community. Our intelligence community weren't saying that. Russia wasn't saying that. Russia and Ukraine were saying, no, there ain't nothing really unique going on here. We're a bunch of assholes and we're fighting along our border, but it's not getting ready to turn into a United States concern at this point. And so the story comes up and everybody scratches their head all day on the radio, listen to the conservative talk shows, what the fuck is Biden talking about? And so then it quiets back down again. A couple days later, Biden comes back in. He's getting ready to invade. He's getting ready to invade, and everybody's like, okay, he must know what he knows more than us. He's the president, and it's like, they go ask around. They ask Putin, they ask our intelligence, everybody's like, I don't know. And it was like, I don't remember exactly, but it was like the third time. It's like you can just feel, it's like Biden's getting up there and saying, he's actually saying like, that. What did they say? Harris came out and said, if he invades, we'll impose sanctions, which is like, telling them, if you invade, all we'll do is impose more sanctions that you're already used to. We do it all the fucking time, and you know how to get around them all. So we're basically saying, go ahead and do it. And Putin's like, I don't want, it's like, but then Biden gets up there and he's like, come on, we know you want to do it. We know you want to do it. So he does it, which really just tells you that they've got something on Putin. I mean, like that's pretty obvious when you look at the Trump dossier, the Steele dossier. Like all the time that shit was floating around out there. Russia never wait. I mean, that Putin knows the truth about all that shit, but he stays out of it. It's like why is he putting up with being bullied by these motherfuckers? Like he's trying to interfere in an election when it's all bullshit and everything. So I mean, you already get a sense. Well, I mean, I could tell you exactly what they got on Putin, but I ain't gonna fucking do it. Because that would risk World War III. Because Putin's like, if everybody knew that about him, boy, he'd be in deep shit back home. But then probably not. It's one of them things where it's way overblown, It's like, and then the shit finally hits the fan, and it's like Trump's election, Like the next morning he's won, and there's not riots everywhere. Well, because he won by a landslide. If it hadn't been decided so fast, then yeah, there would have been all that, and that's why we're getting, what we're getting now is fucking Biden letting Ukraine shoot missiles at Russia, knowing damn well, not letting them, we're shooting them for them because they can't shoot them themselves. So, and we know that's going to turn to nuclear, and now we got an intercontinental ballistic missile. So it's like, this is like Biden goes and he invites Trump to the White House, and Harris concedes. It's like you see him being all nice. You go, okay, wait for the other shoe to drop. This is it's coming. Because revenge is best served cold or whatever. So you get Trump to drop his guard, and then boom, lay this shit on him. Ha ha ha! We got you. Thought you fucking had him, boy. Boy, by the time you take office, that we'll all be underground waiting for the fallout to go away, because we got tickets to the underground cities and shit. And so but in 2022, Biden keeps pushing. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like the Olympics in 2008, the Olympics in 2014, and then in the same time, in the same days of the month. Well, it's actually what? The 24th of November, 2014, that fucking Russia takes Crimea, or invades or whatever, and the same with the same November 24th, 2022. He supposedly invades Ukraine. But see, I mean, you've got all these things. Like you were talking in one, and maybe in this show. Yeah, I think it was in that show about Ukraine and the missiles. Now, like we don't. Our history is just a few hundred years old. We have no real understanding of other countries that have been around for thousands and thousands of years with the same ongoing cultures. So, I mean, there's a lot going on in the middle of all that. It's got to do with dates and rituals and that you guys fucking you don't even look at. You not know to look at. But I mean, how in the fuck did you miss the whole $15 billion loan? How did the conservatives? How did you, Tucker Carlson, miss the 2014 revolution, so-called revolution in Ukraine and the fucking during the Olympics, that whole big mess there. I mean, everybody winds up blaming Putin. He's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. He's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't anywhere near the bad. He was a good guy trying to sell us organic food and clean energy and shit. But then you have to look at in 2022, what was happening when Biden starts coming out and going, Putin's going to invade Ukraine, and everybody's like, huh? Oh, I see what he's saying. He's trying to take the focus off of Hunter Biden because, like the next breaking story about Biden in Ukraine, Hunter Biden in Ukraine is getting ready to break, and he needs the news. He needs everybody that's like, holy crap, too many people are paying attention to the Hunter story. And this, like every time a new angle breaks, more, like Biden's sitting there like any day now, if we don't do something, this shit's going to snowball down and we're all going to get run out of fucking town or thrown in prison. And so he's like begs fucking Putin to invade, and then Putin finally does. That's how you know that they've got something on Putin, and I'm not going to tell you what, I know what it is, and it's so fucking obvious. That's why I fucking making this fucking video, because you motherfuckers, you get up there and you talk shit. You young motherfuckers get up there talking shit about everything, and everybody's watching, and it's like, what, are you fucking stupid or fucking lying? Are you misleading everybody, or you just don't even know what's really fucking going on in the world? Then you get up there and say, oh, would somebody please stand up and tell us, how do they keep it all secret? Why didn't somebody tell us? Like, I'm giving you the really, really brief version of this story, and I can go in. Yeah, I'm going to do another one because you're talking about Kamala Harris in California and all that shit. What they've done to California. I mean, there's a whole nother story right in there, but it's all shit. It's not like I'm not you. I have intelligence tools that I trained on growing up because I had to, because of my father and his people. But none of this is any of that. This is just following the fucking news. The story I'm going to tell you about Harris, the thing about Ukraine, it's like, oh, okay, like the story breaks that the Viking end of the world is coming on like February 22nd or something, right around then. The Viking end of the world is going to happen because of some 100-day horn. Some, the fucking Ragnarok horn got blown, and so here you got another end of the world fucking story coming, And I looked at that and I'm like, all right, what the fuck? What are these fucktards doing, And then the shit starts in Ukraine, and I'm like, oh my God, look at. I mean, but see the what do they call the Rus, the Viking Rus, like the origins of Russia and Ukraine and Kiev and the what do they call the Rus? Something else, the Viking Rus or whatever. But I mean, it all centers around right there, and it's this dispute between like the East Russia, the Eastern Slavs Russia, and the Western Vikings, Ukraine, but really they all melded into one pot, but you still got both sides. I mean, you've got, really, it's all the West. It's, but here it is. It's leading up to the Viking end of the world, and Ukraine is having a revolution and melting down, and these neo-Nazis. The day that the coup happened and that the Ukrainian president had to flee to Russia was fucking the day they predicted the Russian end of the world, and then you go back 100 days before that and you find these, but all that shit's like that. There's always these like George Soros has got handlers above him, royal handlers, like people like the royals invented democracy because then they didn't have to put themselves in the sensitive position of ruling. They ruled by money. They already had all the wealth and power, and they could just move everybody around like chess pieces. And George Soros is like one of the players. He's like a chess master, sort of, but he's just a fucking, y'all make him out like a leftist. He's not a fucking leftist. He's a fucking currency trader. And if you just told the story about him, it was like, he goes around starting shit and shorting currencies. He goes to a country, he boosts up their currency, and then anytime he wants, he uses all his little social networks and shit to start a bunch of bullshit in that country. Currency drops. He fucking walks off with all that country's wealth, and then the bankers move in, and it's like, but it's the same game been going on for fucking 1,000 years with the, or ages since like the Romans, or more like the Viking, I don't know, the British and the fucking, it ain't that complicated. It's fucking history, man. All you do is watch YouTube, watch enough fucking YouTube, you'll catch up on all that shit. I don't know, man. It's the fucking end of the world again. Like here we go with World War III again. We got it going on down there in Israel, and Biden up there, we start war with anything he can do to get, it's like, it's not left. It's because they're all scumbags, and Trump's going to throw them all in fucking prison. You don't talk about that. You don't point that shit out. And then you got the audacity to say, why isn't anybody saying anything? What's really going on? It's like, then I'm like, what are you fucking making? Are you reading a script? Or are you fucking stupid? Like, you don't see the obvious? I mean, I guess back then you were working for Fox or something, or whoever you were with, like they wrote your script or something, so you didn't really know how shit works, and now you're just kind of out on your own. And oh yeah, that's what pisses me off. You're always giggling and laughing like fucking Kamala Harris about serious shit. I'm Tucker Carlson. I've made it. I got a great big show, and I like your show. I love you too. It's like see that's another thing. It's like a motherfucker like me can't say what needs to fucking be said. Oh, now nobody likes you. We're all offended and shit. Nobody can listen to you. You cuss too much. It's like, well, if you want to understand how shit works, you gotta spit it out the way it is. You see how my voice gets loud and angry sounding? That's for emphasis. So you get the point. You got a lot of stuff you can't just say all giggly and full of joy, and you can't say it just lying. You sound like a liar even if you're telling the truth. Do I sound like I'm fucking lying? I'm making this up. I'm reading a fucking script. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'll bet you you get the impression I sure as shit think I do, right? But when the rest of you motherfuckers talk, it's like you're just repeating all, and then you have people on your shows that are on other shows that have their own shows, and they just you move each other around and do interviews and podcasts, and you're all just the same people recycling the same half-assed, half-baked fucking stories. And meanwhile, you got a guy like me. I'm still right here in fucking Fairfax County, and I've got my foot so far up those motherfuckers' ass. You have no fucking idea about what I do to try to contain these That's my whole fucking life. Waiting on the cavalry, waiting on here comes Trump, and they start freaking out. Oh no, Trump, when he first started running for office, but I mean, see, people started going, what the hell? He's the American citizen. Why can't he, like, why aren't they just respecting that he's running for president? Why aren't they respecting that he's elected president? Oh my God, look what they're doing to him now that he's president. Look what they're doing to him after he's president. Now look what they're, like now they're all like, uh-oh, landslide election, uh-oh, and then they all quiet down. Then Biden pulls this fucking horse shit with the fucking Ukraine and Russia. And he's doing shit down in Israel too. He's trying to leave. He's trying. If you got any sense, I mean, it looked like he's trying to start World War III before he fucking leaves. Some excuse to fucking start a martial, some situation that can leave him, like before Trump gets in there. But I mean, this is like an ongoing game. I've been fighting with these motherfuckers. Oh, that's the point I was making. And then everything that they're doing to Trump actually turns out to be good for me because you're starting to see a side of what's been going on here my whole life. And before I was fucking born, this whole seedy side. Well, I mean, look at the CIA. When you people talk about intelligence and the CIA, where did the CIA come from? It was created to house thousands of Nazis that came to work for us after the war. Why didn't Israel ever say anything about that? Why, like how did that happen? And how now does anybody in your line of work, conspiracy theorists, talk about the CIA without talking about Nazis? I mean, like. They're here. I grew up in these motherfuckers, man. They're sick weirdos. They play all kinds of stupid, and they're dumber than fuck. And the only thing they got going for them is the rest of you motherfuckers just don't believe it. Now you're starting to see how it's going. So I'm like, okay, good, man. Trump's waking them up. They're actually waking everybody up the way they're treating Trump. So Trump's good. If for nothing else, he's good for that because now everybody's starting to see how. So then one day, maybe I get to a point where I can tell people what's really fucking going on so we can fix this shit and I can have a fucking life. And, well, I'm still waiting. I was like, okay, well, the election, that's good, but still I can't get no traction. So I was like, all right, well, wait till after Trump gets here. And starts running some of these fucking idiots out of this county and bringing in some fucking people that got some goddamn sense. They're all ghosts around here. Everybody in this county's a fucking spook one way or the other. It's weird, man. Try coming here and walking around and like people don't look at each other. They don't talk to each other. You go just 20, 30 miles south where normal working people are and people look at it and they talk, it's just normal social discourse like everywhere else in the country and the fucking world. But here in Fairfax County, where you've got intelligence and military and FBI, you got all these fucking agencies and nobody knows who everybody else is. And so they're all scared. Nobody looks at each other. Nobody wants to know anything about anybody else's stuff. They've all got their own little secrets they wish they didn't know. They're all part of some fucked up shit. Or the other part is they're here making a fuckload of money and they're just going to work sitting there all fucking day not doing jack shit because they don't do jack shit. Their job is to not do jack shit. Their job is to bring in the trillions of dollars and then they fucking scumbag all of it what, are we going to go into that? Am I ever going to go into anything with you motherfuckers? Or are you just going to sit out there? I'm Tucker Carlson or I'm whoever, Lex, all these other people who I love. I really, really do. I'm just saying. When are you going to start cutting through the bullshit? When are you going to find a guy like me who doesn't have a show? I don't have time to put together a goddamn show. You have no idea what whatever. Anyway, this wasn't about me. It's about Ukraine. It's about the missiles. It's this cocksucker. You see it all, but you got to stop laughing, man. It's not fucking funny. It's not ironic. It's not something to be cynical about. It's not the left versus the right. The Bushes are the fucking word. The Bushes are the fucking center of the whole thing. We'll get to that when I do the Kamala Harris one, maybe tomorrow. I'm out of here, man. And for the record, man, fuck all you motherfuckers, man.